Hi guys, today we're still busy with finance, and as you can recall, I told you the previous time there's only two formula that you need to know in grade 10 and in grade 11 for finance, and that is the simple interest and the compound growth. Now, you also did that in grade 9, so it's going to be a lot of revision, but now we've got a nice formula that you can use and just quickly get the answers. Good. So this is what is going to happen in the lesson. I'm not going to go through all of it. You can read through it. You'll see as we go along, as we do examples. Just two things that we're going to cover is inflation and the population growth that we're going to use the same formula for. Good. So let's just see what is this compound interest. Now, remember previously also we had the letters there, and we said the letters has got a specific meaning, and you need to remember what the meaning is. So the most important is to remember A is the end amount, what I want to accomplish at the very end. The P is the present amount, so you can actually write that as the beginning amount, where you begin your whole story. And then N automatic is number of years. In grade 10, always years, nothing else. And I is the interest rate. Now, if you just use the interest rate as R over 100, you will have to work with a fraction, which we don't like. So remember I said we don't use that in our problems. We use the decimal format, which is 0, comma, and we need, just to remember, there needs to be two spaces behind the comma, two decimals for percentage. Good. You'll see this in nearly every slide. So by the end of these lessons, you should be able to do it in the middle of the night if you wake up, because it should be so known to you. Now, there's the new formula. The new formula looks very much the same as the previous one. There's only one difference. Actually, I'm going to just rewrite it. Because that, if we use that format, that should actually be an R. You remember that's the one that we don't like? So rather use the green one. It's just much easier because you see now there's no fraction involved. Now the only difference between this one and the simple interest, can you see the little n? It's not next to the I anymore. It's not simple anymore, straightforward multiplying plus and minus. It's now got an exponent. And you all know that when we work with exponents, it's a little bit more complicated, although a formula is a formula. You do exactly the same that you did for simple interest. So I can actually stop explaining now, because you do exactly the same as you did for simple interest. You write down the formula. There's 4 things involved. 3 of them will be known, and the 4th one is the one that you're going to work out. So sometimes we're going to ask you the I or the N or the P, not necessarily the A, but once you've got your formula written down and you've filled in the values, you can just find whatever they're asking you. Good. So let's use an example rather. It's much easier. Thabo invests 20,000 Rand. Now, can you recall previously I said as you read a financial problem, underline the figures and write down, is it now the A or the P or the I or the N? Which one of the 4 is it? Thabo invests 20,000 Rand now, presently. So you agree with me, that's the P, to contribute towards the university fees for his son in 5 years' time. That is the years, so that is the N. Compound interest, very important, compound interest, because all our other slides were simple interest, so it was the other formula. So the only thing that differs now, it's a different formula, and the little n just jumps to the top to make an exponential equation. The interest rate is 9%, which is my I. We do not like this 9% because it's 9 over 100. We're going to make it a decimal. How much will this investment be worth in 5 years' time? In the end. So the end means the A. Remember I said A is actually the first letter of the alphabet, so that's the only one that is a bit cocky. It's actually the end, not the first letter. A stands for the end. So there's my 3 things. Let's tick it. 1, 2, 3 pieces of given information, and there's my 4th one, that is the question. So all I need to do now is to write down my formula. I've just summarized it there. My formula, just be careful now. It's P1 plus I, and instead of having the N there, the N is just hanging in the air. So the only difference is the formula. You're going to fill in everything as you used to, but because it's now compound, and from now on, for every single problem, you need to first decide, am I going to use the simple interest formula or the compound interest, because that is basically the only mistake you can now make. choose the wrong formula, and then you'll get 0. If one chooses the wrong formula in a test, you get 0 for the whole sum. We don't even check any steps. And also remember, important there, the I, it was 9%. And because it's a decimal, we want the decimal, there's 2 digits behind the comma. It's not 0.9, a very, 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 very common mistake. Please concentrate. There always need to be 2 decimals behind the comma. Okay, now we start filling in. 20,000, 1 plus 0.09 to the power of 5. You grab your calculator, and again, as I said, as you read it, you slot in 20,000 bracket 1 plus comma 09. You could actually do this in your head and just write 1 comma 09 if you want to. Close the bracket, and now very important, you need that little button that's got an X, let's write it here, with a little block on the top, because you need to slot in that exponent. So you press that little button there, kind of in the middle, and what do you want to slot in there? 5, and you press the equal sign, and it gives you 30,772 Rand and 48 cents. Now there are lots of decimals. It's not 48, it's 47 479. I need to always round off to the second decimal because Rand and cent has got 2 decimals. Let's just see if it makes sense. I started off with 20,000 Rand. I put it in the bank for 5 years, which is quite long, and I got 30,700 back. It makes sense. So I did get more money. Always check yourself like that. Don't just carry on and do. Check yourself to see if it's a practical answer. Good, the next one. Anne wants to go travel in 5 years' time. That is my N. She needs at least 30,000 Rands for plans to travel. Now, when does she want to travel? In 5 years' time. And then she needs 30,000 Rand. So what is that? The end amount. Remember, the end amount is always the A. How much must she invest? How much must she invest now? Presently, P, present, they couldn't have made it easier. If there's an interest rate of 7%, my I, compound. Very important to read the compound. So they want to know how much must she put in the bank now in order to have the 30,000 Rand in the end. So what do? Let's just go there where I've got space. There's all the information written down. You see it's always 4 things. 3 are known, 1 unknown. It can't be any different. That is how you do financial maths in grade 10 and in grade 11. So let's just write our formula down. So what am I saying? You're supposed to get full marks for this, unless you make a silly mistake, but you can always double check yourself. 1 plus I to the power of N. So I fill in the A. I can't fill in the P. I can fill in the I, and I can fill in the N. Okay, what do I want? The P. So all this stuff with the P, I do not want there. It's being times by the P. That's what the bracket means. So I must divide by that whole big fat bracket. So I'm going to take it to the 30,000, and I'm going to divide both sides by 1 plus 0.07 to the power of 5. So it will disappear on the right-hand side. You'll have nicely your P all on its own. Now again, because your calculator is clever, you can press that fraction button, the one where there's a little block over a little block. And then you've got your fraction already. On the top, you slot in 30,000. Then you go down with your cursor so that you're at the bottom of the fraction now, and you slot in bracket. Very important that you do the bracket. If you don't do the bracket, you will not get the right answer. 1 plus comma 07 bracket. You could have just said 1 comma 07 bracket, and then you press that X with a little block on top. So there are the 2 things you press, the X with a little block on top. What do you want the exponent? You want 5, and you press the equal sign, and it gives you, and now I can just write it neatly, P is equal to 21,389, comma, again I need to round off, 59. Let's just see if it makes sense. I want to now, presently, that's my P, invest 21,000 Rand roughly, so that I in 5 years can have more money. Yes, 30,000 is more. It's not millions more, So that's how I know I didn't make a mistake. It seems like a logical answer. Good. Now, this is a very common one in tests and exams. Very, very common, even up to grade 12. What with the compound interest? So I need to make sure it's compound interest. Rate B. So what are they asking? The I. If it takes 8 years, that's my N, for an investment to double in value. Oopsie. I've got now only 2 green things written down, and I've got the word double. But what do we do when we're stuck in maths and we don't know what to make that amount? We make it X. So if I can put X amount of money in the bank now, I want in the end, in 8 years' time, for it to double. So what am I going to do? Let's just go where I've got space. I'm going to write, that is actually the I. So let's just put a point on there. I'm going to write down the A and the P. Now let's just make sure the P is now. So if I put X amount now in the bank, because I don't know how much, they didn't give me any figures, in the end it must be double. And that's why I put 2X there. And remember the N is 8. Let's just quickly go back and make sure I've got all the information here. 8 years compound interest. Yes, that is what we need. So there's my 3 pieces of information. They are asking the I. Before you ever start with a financial problem, write down your 4 things. 3 will be known and 1 will be unknown. If you can't write that down, you actually can't use your formula. So it's no use writing down the formula if you haven't written down these 4 things. So make it your method. Always write it down, and then only you write down the formula, because then it's, oopsie, then it's very easy. What is happening now? It just jumps back. Funny things happen here. Very easy to just do this and fill in what you have. A is 2x, P is x, 1 plus the I do not know, the N I know is 8. Good. Now I must get that I all alone. So I must get rid of the x has been times. If I take the left hand side 2x and I divide by x, what happens? There's just a 2 left. And that is actually what they said. It must double. How do you get rid of an 8 exponent? I hope you remember. You draw the 8th root. You remember? Or, let's write or. You can say to the power of an 8th. That means exactly the same if you want to get rid. Because remember, 8 times an 8th becomes 1, and then you got rid of your exponent. But I do not like that fractiony one, because we don't like fractions. There is a button on your calculator. It's right above the X with the little button. So if you go to that X with the little blocky there, on top of it, so that you need to click. But let's just do it first. Let's just write it down. On the right-hand side, you'll just then have 1 plus I, and on the left-hand side, there was a 2 left, but I need to draw the 8th root of 2. So I go to that button, I click Shift, and that button, X with a little block on top, and then it gives me the exponent on the outside. So I want an 8 on the outside. Okay, the wrong one here. I want to go to the outside. So you move with your cursor. On the outside, I want an 8. And on the inside, so I move with the cursor to the inside, I want a 2. And I press the equal sign, and it gives me, but actually before I do that, I'm going to keep it on my calculator. Again, it's different methods. I prefer to write this down and bring the 1 to the left-hand side, then I only use my calculator 1. So I've got now half the problem done. So all I must click now is -1 equals. And then it gives me I is equal to 0, now I'm going to write down a few digits, 0, 5, 0. Remember, 0,05. Oopsie. Let me just do it correctly. 0,09. 0,09050. So if I now round it up, it will be I is equal to 0,09. But they want the interest rate, so they want you to answer them in proper English language so that I can understand what you say. So you'll just say R is equal to 9%. Or you can say 9%, because both means exactly the same. Good. That is it for compound interest. Just as easy as simple interest. The only difference, let's just take this silly little thingy off here, but don't know where that comes from. Just as simple interest, the only thing that is different is the formula. The little n is now hanging in the air. So you just need to click different buttons on your calculator if you work it out. Good, let's just check inflation. Now you need to understand what inflation is. That is, every year, everything gets more expensive. So next year, you cannot buy the same amount of food with the money that you've got now, because there's an inflation rate in the vicinity of 4% or so. So let's just check these notes so that you're 100% sure what it means. Indicates how prices change over time. So every year, the inflation rate makes the prices higher. But remember, and one thing that is very important, the inflation rate is worked out on the previous year's money. So it's always a compound formula. It's not just one single simple thingy that you work out and it's going to stay the same forever. It changes every year because you work inflation out on the previous year. So if you read, as the inflation rate increases, the buying power decreases, because the higher the inflation rate is, the less stuff you can buy next year with the same amount of money that you've got now. The inflation rate calculates the rate of change from the previous year's average price. And this is very important. It's always the previous year's average price that you work the inflation rate on. And then for the next year, you take this year's amount of money and then you work out the new inflation rate. That's why it's compound interest. The inflation rate is used just like compound interest. That is the most important part. And when do we use inflation rate? For lots of stuff. But for instance, and you don't think about that now, I'm sure, but for instance, retirement. And remember, everything we teach you now is stuff that you can use in the real life. Practical stuff that can really, really help you in life to work out your own things. Good. Let's just compare a few of these things. If I put 1,000 Rand in the bank over 10 years, now there's a few different examples. If it's a 9% growth there, I will have 2,300, just roughly. If it's a 10%, it will be 2,500. If it's 11%, it will be 2,800. So the higher the inflation rate is, the bigger the amount is. So that means the more you're going to pay next year for the same amount of stuff that you pay only 1,000 Rand for this year. Good. Now, population growth is also, they can ask you lots of questions on inflation or population growth, because that's real life problems. And what is maths about in the end? It's about real life problems that we need to solve. So population growth, that is for settlements, or if they want to make new roads or schools or hospitals or something like that, they need to know how the population is growing. And again, it's worked out as you do compound interest. In other words, every year you work out your percentage on the previous year. So you add the percentage and then you work it out on the previous year. For instance, a town planner will need to know what the population growth is before he can make plans to develop something in the town. Good. Here's an example. It's already done. A town has 15,000 citizens. So it's got the P amount there. And a population growth of 5%. Now you see here that decimal is not used. It's 5%. I still prefer to write 0.05. They're both correct. I just don't like the fraction. And what will the number of citizens be in 20 years? 20 years. So there's your I, there's your N. This was your beginning amount. So what is this one? The end amount. So it's your normal compound formula. A is equal to P, 1 plus I to the power of N. You fill in what you have. 3 knowns, 1 unknown if you check your green stuff. And you go and get the answer with your calculator. Good. Compound interest. That's what it is. Nothing more difficult. We can now swap the formula around, which we're going to do in the next lesson, but it's still the one and only same formula. So there's some exercises for you to do. Check the yellow answers if you're done. And another page of exercises. The solutions are there. Work them out on a clean sheet of paper and make sure you get to those answers. And then you should understand compound interest at the end of this lesson. Good luck. I'll see you next time.